Well, welcome to the FTS podcast.
All
I'm
right,
really
what's
excited to
up?
get to chat with you, Joe. We just met, and I'm excited to hear your story because I don't know a single thing about you.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to get into it. So how was growing up? Did you grow up in Baltimore?
No, I grew up in Montgomery County, right outside of Wheaton. You'll never know about it. Yeah.
So what was that like?
It's like
You
right
said-
on. It's like right on the edge of like DC. It's like,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? Like right on the edge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said you were doing acid at growing up.
Yeah.
What was-
I
like, what was
actually
your-
bumped into somebody just recently who went to a special ed school with me as a kid. And he goes, you know, the first time I ever met you, bro, you were tripping on acid in school. And we were like little kids.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, I don't even remember that. He's like, probably not. You were so fucking toasted growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a little bit different than a lot of people. I didn't really ever fit in with anybody. You know, people are always like, oh, I never found my tribe. I really never found any tribe, like ever. I just felt like I was completely and totally obsolete or exiled from normality. And so I was just always reaching out for some kind of attention growing up. Like I just did some off the wall shit, man. Like, you know, I've lit whole entire farms on fire. Like
No
the
way.
whole yeah, no bullshit, man. 13 acres. Me and my buddy Anthony. Yeah, that happened. And, you know, I was robbing people when I was a kid. I mean, I would just do some off the wall dumb shit. Now that, you know, you're looking back at it, and it's not like I just looked back at it like yesterday. I've been looking back at it for the past 5 years. I come up on 5 years clean this Friday. I'm celebrating.
In 2 days.
Yeah, in 2 days. That's 5 years, dude. And, you know, that's an insane thing to me because I've been doing this for so long. You know, people are like, oh yeah, I got into the trap for like a couple years. This is how it was, blah, blah, blah. It's like, bro, I didn't even get to like experience life immediately. You know, I was an ADHD kid. I've been diagnosed with bipolar, with psychotic features. I've been diagnosed with all kinds of stuff, but you know, just from that simple diagnosis of ADHD, I ran with it. And
When did you get diagnosed with that?
when I was really young, they said that I had an intelligence level of like some crazy ass intelligence, but I also had severe weapons grade ADHD. And, you know, you don't just have ADHD when it's that severe and you're the kid that just sits in the class and is a little bit disruptive. You're crawling out of your fucking skin sitting in there. And so I would do off the wall shit. And then that ended me up in, you know, special ed schools, man. Special ed schools will fuck you up even worse. I mean, you're this little kid and you come in and next thing you know, staff members are saying, hey, you know, calm down, sit down. And next thing you know, you're in a restraint bag that's zipped up to your neck. And,
No
you know,
way.
they'll hold you in that thing for 24 hours if they have to. Yeah, no bullshit. So it's like I went from being just this little disruptive kid to having to learn how to survive. Seriously. Because the kids that were at these schools, man, I mean, there was one time, there was a kid there, his name was Sensei. And I know that's such a weird name, right? But he was from an area called Lincoln Park. He came up to this kid in home ec, man, and cracked him in the back of the fucking head with an axe. That's not even a joke in school. This is what I was like raised as. I was like this kid from a lower middle class neighborhood that gets fucking sent to this place where I'm around like just psychopaths every day. And that's how I learned how to like navigate life, from watching this every day. It was the exposure of continual fuckery.
Yeah. And just because of an ADHD
Diagnosis. Yeah, the
That's
counselor
insane.
said, we have this special place he can go, you know.
Yeah.
So that led to going to juvenile detention centers.
What was your like immediate household like? Was it like a normal home? Was there drugs and alcohol?
You know, I
Were you
try not to talk about it because I forgive my father like wholeheartedly to this very day, but I was severely fucking abused as a kid. Like, and whether he wants to ever admit it to himself or not, I forgive him because, you know, he grew up in a pretty rough, it was pretty rough for him, and I know it was. because I met my grandfather, who was tough as a coffin nail. And I still get choked up talking about that kind of stuff because, you know, those were very special people to me. But I also come to the realization of how kind of fucked up everything was at the same time. You know, they did everything they could for us, and they were good people. But my dad had some serious anger issues. And I'm not a victim of in any way. I don't feel I'm a victim of anything. Mm-hmm. I just feel like in order to reprimand me, they took it to a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? So my brothers and sisters, all pretty much normal, as you know, AKA normal. They lead productive lives. I haven't seen any indication that they had like any active addiction in their life. Yeah. I mean, they had some, you know, mental instabilities and things of that nature, but pretty much they're all pretty much normal. And my mom, you know, she was a sweetheart. She kind of just did what she could for me, and she was always there. But, you know, she also was dealing with a kid who wasn't always there. So it was hard for her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got a lot of love from her.
I get that.
Yeah.
I experienced a lot of I wouldn't say it was like severe abuse, but I feel like I always sought out my mom's love and affection so much more than my father's. Yeah. And I felt like my whole life, even like in my adulthood, it's been like chasing my mom's like validation and attention. Yeah. And it's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah. And then also forgiving your parents for the things you kind of endured through your childhood. It's like, I don't blame you and I don't feel like a victim, but yeah, that sucked. And I had to work through that in my adulthood.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't work through it in their adulthood.
Yeah.
And it leads on to other things.
Of course, from like what you experienced, yeah, like violence maybe in your home and then all the chaos at school. Do you think substances came in the picture and like misbehaving came in the picture because of wanting to cope with everything around you?
Yes and no. Okay. I think that I did it because I wanted to feel like I belonged. And then when I got to being a part of the belonging, then I got hooked on that feeling. And but I took it to a whole nother level, man. Like I wasn't the kid that like got introduced to weed and just like smoked once in a while. I was like, I got introduced to weed and I was smoking from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed.
Right.
Acid was introduced to us, and the craziest story of how I got introduced to it was, you know, my buddy and me, we were riding this moped around at night in the middle of the night, my buddy Brian. And we met up with this guy, and he was like a local drug dealer. He's like, "Hey man, we're gonna let me use your moped, and I'll give you all some acid." And we're like, "Fuck yes," you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we'll take that. So first time I tripped was at night, and I don't even know how we made it home. I don't remember anything. I just remember waking up and I was like bloody, and there was a massive amount of dirt all over us. And I remember we were in the woods at one point. And I remember the police showed up the next morning because the guy who took the moped actually caught it on fire at a place called Cashel Elementary. They got in trouble. So it was like, bro, like what the fuck? Like that was the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The beginning of the chaos. And it was like, it was almost like nerve wracking, but also exciting at the same time. Mm-hmm. And it drew me in.
No, yeah. Did you find yourself like kind of hooked on psychedelics? I know they don't have like a physical, like addictive component, but I feel like maybe mentally we crave that psychedelic experience. Yeah. Did you find yourself?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it because, you know, I just felt like I had arrived. It was like, I can see the world differently. You know what I'm saying?
Literally.
Like literally. And you can't see what I see. So this is fucking awesome. And I remember, you know, as I got older, people would tell me stories about when I was a kid. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? They're like, yeah, that really happened. Whew. So, you know, yeah, I definitely, you definitely get addicted to that. Anything that gives you a euphoric feeling that fills the void, you're gonna thrive for that. You know, At least I do.
What became your drug of choice? Would you say
heroin?
Really? How did it escalate Opiates. To that point? And how did you get introduced?
I originally got introduced to pills because where I grew up, a lot of the kids were wealthier, like on the outskirts of the area that I lived. And, they had doctors as parents, and, they had the mom who was banging Valium all day long to just deal and cope with life in her fucking multi-million-dollar house. And I remember I went over to my buddy's house, and that was the first time I took an Oxy, and I was on it, like on it. And I remember that we almost got caught because we were crushing him up on the table, and his mom like banged on the door, and he cracked me, like he hit me, and I fell and hit my head on the toilet, and everything went flying through the air. And his mom comes walking in, and she's like, "What the fuck are you all doing?" And I'm like, "I have no idea." And I got blood running down my head.
No way.
Yeah, so I got caught the first time I did it, but I was banged out the whole time, so it really didn't matter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sorry, dude. Like, my memory of stuff like that, it's humorous for me. But then, the dark times came. So
What did that look like?
it looked really bad. It was not cool, man. Like, you go from like just kind of chasing a feeling to like kind of chasing just getting well every day. And, you end up in some neighborhoods where you normally wouldn't end up in. And then you get used to that lifestyle. I, again, was such a chaotic person that thrived on that like anarchy. Is like when I got involved in the streets, it was like I just clung to it like a moth to a flame. So, you navigate that. You navigate it as best you possibly can, and you do whatever you have to do in order to get it. And, I also was big on drinking. So I did whatever I could. I mean, like, put it this way. We didn't really get into my childhood that much, and that's okay because my childhood was fucked. But I endured a lot of things in my childhood that I'd never dealt with. Like, I came into my friend Benji hanging in his house when I was a kid. That was my first experience with death. My best friend died in a car accident, and I was brought to the scene, and like I got this. That was how I dealt with death. That's how I saw it. One of my best friends, he killed another one of our friends, and then buried the body 3 different times. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the people that I was like around, and I'd never dealt with those kinds of things. I was sent to a psych ward one time because I tried to kill myself, and I was sexually assaulted by a male staff member. When I was a kid, I was sexually assaulted by one of my friend's mothers. These are all the things that just kept happening in my life. And I don't know what it was, but I know that now it was for a greater good. Mm-hmm. And I know that sounds crazy, right? But when you get to endure all those things, you kind of understand where people are coming from, and you kind of are able to meet people where they are and not where you think they should be. And that has been a big problem with life in general. People don't want to see what people are. They want to see them as they want to view them. Right. And that's one of the biggest problems. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Even in relationships today, or how we want to perceive ourselves in the world, it's like, I want you to see my best and never at my worst.
Right.
Like, we usually abandon people when like things get hard. And I feel like that's something I've been practicing the past year, is really being there for people when they're not at their best. Like, how do I show up to support somebody when they're going through? And that's kind of what you do a little bit today. You do like intervention work on the streets of Baltimore.
Yeah, we do street outreach.
And that's hard. No, yeah. But I'm kind of curious more so in like the grief process. I don't know how you dealt with it at the time, but how would you like support somebody going through grief today? Grieving somebody who passed away, especially because you may have seen these people that passed away in person. Like, what is that like? How do you support somebody through that?
Honestly, sometimes it's just sitting there with them.
Yeah.
And just letting them know that you're there. We've lost a lot of human connection in this world. We just have social media, just a lot of biases. People don't like to see other people's perspectives. They don't like to understand people's views. Mm-hmm. And that's hard for people. And for myself, in order to connect with another human being, I truly believe that you literally have to get on their level, whatever level that is. And, when I'm out in the streets, I never stand above somebody who's sitting down.
Yeah.
I always sit on the ground with them. I meet them eye to eye. And then I just talk. I want to know a little bit about your life. I don't need to hear everything bad that happened. But I need to know, like, did you ever have goals? What were they? Did you have family? What were they like? How do you feel like your first relationship went with the girl or guy that was considered the love of your life? How'd that end? What did you feel like after it ended? Do you still think about them? And you get to know somebody. And as soon as you do that, the conversation goes in many different directions. I mean, I've sat with somebody at 3 o'clock in the morning till 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, just talking about their life. And then at some point they said, you know what, I surrender. They don't say it just like that, but they say, listen, I'd like a change, Joey. Do you think I can get some help? And I try to take them places that I trust, places that I believe in, and try to get them that help, because not everybody needs to go to rehab. Sometimes people can go straight from the streets to the seats.
Yeah.
I'm serious, and get a lot of help there. It's all about their perspective. They may have had 20 different stints in rehab that didn't go very well. I know how that went, Yeah. But then you'll hear them say, well, maybe I want to try something different this time. So I just sit with them until they figure it out. And I've sat for hours, and I've come back day after day after day after day after day. I've stayed in the streets one time for 72 hours doing street outreach, sleeping in the bandos with them and everything, just trying to understand the world that they're living in now that I used to be in that I forgot about.
Right.
Sounds crazy, right?
It does, but in my eyes, it makes a lot of sense.
It does.
It's harder to help somebody when you don't see their perspective.
Right.
Especially with harm reduction. That's what I've heard when I bring people on the podcast to talk about harm reduction. It's like harm reduction is literally meeting people where they're at. It's not like, hey, we're trying to get you sober right now. It's like we're trying to help you with the situation that you're in now, aka giving you clean needles or Narcan or whatever it is.
Right. And there's so many people that they hate on harm reduction.
Yeah. Huge
Okay.
stigma with it.
Well, harm reduction is harm reduction is harm reduction. It's reducing the harm to a human being.
Right.
Who are you to say what their path is? It's not for you to say. I thought we lived in the land of the free, not the land of you do what we tell you to do, and when you don't, we're going to exile you. I don't know how that even works. Like, I mean, I'm a felon. I'm not even allowed to leave the country without permission, but you're going to exile me within my own community? I never even thought about it just till now, that exact thought. That's scary as shit.
And it's hard because a lot of people don't see how an addict can end up in the place that they're in, because it looks like it's a choice. Like you're enabling them to keep getting high or keep using or keep living on the streets because you're out there helping them and giving them resources and like a tent or naloxone or needles, whatever it is. So it looks like enablement, but it's so much, you can't force somebody to seek recovery. It's like, it's not productive whatsoever. It's like, I'm at the end of the day, I'm going to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
So can you kind of explain that process of why somebody would be in the position that they're in, if it's being homeless or if it's being like struggling with addiction on the streets? Because to the outside world, it looks like they're choosing this life. So,
well, there's two parts to it.
Yeah.
The one part, there is some that choose it, but why they choose it? They choose it because they do not feel like they have fit into society. They feel like society has rejected them. And so they find peace in that life. Do they always want to stay in it? No. They want someone to come along and see them as a human being, as flesh, as a skeleton, as a spirit, as something more than just a number. A lot of mental health is out there. A lot of people who have undiagnosed mental health, people who
Right.
have been thrown out of psych wards and all kinds of places. You know, they just never got the help that they needed and they ended up there. A
Right.
lot of people are from impoverished neighborhoods. They didn't see the world that many people would see every day. Some people wake up, they go and get a cup of coffee and, off to work they go. Come home, got the 2 kids, the picket fence, the golden retriever, and everything's copacetic.
Mm.
But the people that I meet, they didn't have that. They had a mattress on a floor that was riddled with sweat, roaches, mosquitoes, and the house was not kept. The house was falling apart. Their life was falling apart.
Mhm.
Their mother or father was trying to do everything they can, or their mother and father was in addiction, and that's what they saw.
Right.
They saw survival. They didn't see existing.
Mm.
They saw survival. So now with that being said, they go out and look for other elements of survival. Maybe they'll start dealing drugs. Maybe they start prostituting. Maybe they start turning tricks. Maybe they start doing any of these things, and then drugs get involved, and then the chaos continues, and the warped vision of the world gets placed inside their head, and next thing you know, they're in a whole nother reality that they didn't even know existed. And they're destitute. They're at a point where I have to keep alive just so I don't feel like shit anymore.
Right.
And what I mean by saying that is they got to get their gate shot in the morning. They got to get their drink in the morning. You ever seen an alcoholic who drank all night and has been drinking all night, every single night for 6 months? What they look like the next day? If they haven't drank, they're shaking, they're nervous, they're anxiety ridden. So everybody always thinks about drugs and the stigma of people in the communities that you look at, and they're like, oh my God, they must be on drugs. Not all of them are. A lot of them just have serious mental health issues, or they're alcoholics. And the alcohol, gives them wet brain, and it turns them into human beings that they normally wouldn't be.
Mm.
And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing a body riddled with chemicals and mental health issues that just doesn't have the ability to make the decision to get out of that because they've become so comfortable being uncomfortable.
Right.
Now they have to find a new way of being uncomfortable with their comfortability.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds wild, but it's real.
How did you come to terms with like being an alcoholic? Because I personally needed it to be described to me in a specific way. Because my addiction was short-lived and I got sober at a young age. It was literally somebody just asking me like, hey, Laisha, did you ever use when you didn't want to? And for some reason that made everything click for me. It's like, actually, I really did. I knew the things that drugs and alcohol brought into my life. It was always chaos. And I realized the last time I took Xanax, I knew like I had this fear of like I could take this and something bad could really happen, and something bad did happen. And that was like my wake up call when I looked back in hindsight.
But you didn't want to feel the other way either.
Right?
Right. So my drug of choice was always more. So I never put it on alcohol, opiates, benzos, psychedelics. I never put it on any of them. I never put a label to it. I just say more. I wanted more of everything. What changed for me to realize that I was maybe doing, it's really crazy. I actually had gotten clean before, and I was living a different life. I thought I was changing my whole world and the world of others. I was helping out with people from drug court. I was doing everything that I thought was good. But in the interim of these good deeds, I was doing bad deeds. Even though I was clean, I wasn't living clean. And so I come home and I pull into my neighborhood, and there was a Tahoe blacked out, right? And it was sitting in my neighborhood. And again, I thought I cleared up all my past. Obviously, I didn't. But that week, someone had put on Facebook that there was someone watching kids in the neighborhood. So my first thought was, Well, they're watching kids in my neighborhood. So at the time, I had a gun in my car. Again, I'm living clean. Why do I need a gun? I had a gun in my car. I pull up, put the gun to the door of my door, the inner door. He rolls down the window, and I said, "Hey, what are you doing in my neighborhood, bro?" And he goes, "Nothing." I said, "You sure you're not doing anything? You're not looking at kids or nothing like that?" He goes, "No, I'm not here for all that." I said, "You sure?" He said, "Yeah, I'm sure." Put the gun back underneath the thing. I believed him. Rolled up the window, backed into my driveway. And next thing you know, that Tahoe turned its lights on, and so did about 4 others. And the U.S. Marshals came to pick me up to take me away to jail. And what was fucking crazy about that, it was the night before I had drank. I was about to go back into acts of addiction. I was already in the mindset, I'm on my way.
Yeah.
Not only did that U.S. Marshal save my life, but I've been in contact with him ever since. And I told him, thank you very much. Yeah, my criminal history, you'd be, I mean, it was long lasting and it was big. You know, I got caught with $7.2 million in cash. I did wild ass shit.
There's so much.
I was super wealthy at one point. I was homeless at another. I was, surrounded by women, money, drugs, everything, oh, this is a fucking great life. And then, I'm sitting in my basement with a gun in my mouth. Like, my life has been nothing but chaos. And so for the past 5 years, when people are like so proud about their anniversary, which they all should be, but I'm extremely proud about it because not only am I clean, but I'm living clean.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's a difference.
There is.
There's a huge difference.
It's like a way of living with like honesty, integrity, humility. It's more than just like hey, I'm not using drugs or alcohol right now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because everybody can show up to a meeting and sound good.
Yeah. I have there's a lot of questions I have.
Go ahead. I Bang really them all out.
First off, I want to hear about how you got to a point of having $7.2 million to then ending up later homeless and then being a felon. What the fuck were the felonies? And why did they arrest you that day? All those things.
Okay, here we go.
I wanted to get them out before I forgot them.
Okay, so my illustrious career with the criminal world started when I was young, burnt down a field, got in trouble. I actually visited that judge who told me I was a menace to society. Her name was Judge Sisselin. I've recently visited her, and she told me you'll be worth nothing for the rest of your life. And I believed her my whole life. And I went back to her and I said, I forgive you because you didn't know who was standing in front of you at that time. Mm-hmm. And here I am. And this is what I'm doing now. But either way, in and out of facilities, psych wards, everything. And then after a first degree assault, when I got incarcerated, I beat a kid half to death with a shovel. He was really bad. He was really bad off. I felt really bad about it, actually, because he had me pinned to someone else, and he pulled me over to the side of the road. And he's like, yo, you're fucking with my sister. And I was like, who the fuck are you, bro? And he's like, pull the fuck over. And I pulled over, and I had a shovel in the back of my truck. And I said, oh, you want to go? I pulled the shovel out and walked up to him and just started beating him half to death. It was a misunderstanding, a miscommunication. But because I was so whacked out of my brain and this guy picked the wrong guy, next thing you know, I end up with a first-degree assault. So my first experience with prison, I was about 24 or 25. And what had happened leading up to that was I had started a moving and storage company, right? I started with a 14-foot box truck. Started delivering furniture for high-end retailers in Washington, D.C. I won't mention any of their names because, whatever. But I started with that 14-foot box truck, and I turned it into an empire.
Wow. And
when everything came out that, oh, Joe's doing well, this and this and this, and people started talking, people started coming to me, well, how are you making all that money? So I got involved with a guy, which will remain nameless. And he was a very well-to-do guy. He was dealing with people who were running presidential campaigns, all kinds of stuff. And I started laundering money for him. I started laundering money for him and a whole bunch of other people. And at the time, we were moving drugs in my trucks all over the country. And I never got caught for that. But what I did get caught for was all the money laundering and the schemes. So the way that it happened was I started moving all this money for him, started moving all this cash for him, and they were returning it as checks. And it was actually a gigantic fucking Ponzi scheme, like a huge one, bigger than what we actually got caught for, because I guess they caught other people that were on top of that. And I just remember like how this happened so fast within 2 years, that I'm living in this luxury house and I'm driving a Bentley one day and then I'll trade it in and go fucking buy a Ferrari the next. I became addicted to it and I didn't care what was actually happening. I didn't give a fuck as long as I just kept the money coming. So they caught us, and I took the hit for everybody. Didn't say a word. White collar crimes division for Montgomery County came in and smashed me. And it was really bad, man. Like, there was a lot of people that got hurt in that situation. And I've tried to make amends to almost all of them. But, you know, that's the name of the game, man. Like, one thing will lead to another, will lead to another, will lead to another when you're in the realm of bad. Yeah. And that's how it escalates so quickly. You know what I'm saying? Like, it happens quicker than you can ever think. Like, you're having this moving and storage company. You have a wife, you have a son, you have 2 sons. Then you're living in separate houses. Then you're having strippers over and you're living this psychotic life, and you don't even realize what's happening at the time. I'm living 2 different lives. I'm making insane amounts of money. I'm being used by everybody who's around me, because no one of those people were there when I got out. None of them. But you're just addicted to the attention. You're addicted to the money. You're addicted to the drugs. You're addicted to everything. You want it more and more. I was filling a void that was just, I was a walking corpse. You know, everybody's like, oh, he's balling. Look at him. You know, he's building motorcycles for, because I had a motorcycle company too. He's building motorcycles for famous people. He's doing all this shit. Ron Jeremy came over to his house. Like, who expected that from me? Nobody. So I was like, basically like, yeah, I was shining. You know what I'm saying? I was shining, and it just became overwhelming, and it ended horribly. And, you know, they caught me, and I went to fucking prison, and I met a lot of people, and I didn't become a worse criminal. I became a better one. I started dealing with guys who were moving a lot of weight in Baltimore and, you know, the surrounding areas. And I started doing legal work for people, and I started understanding the judicial system for what it actually was. And I had this tainted marker on my back. So I decided when I got out, I got with another person. I moved down to the beach, and, you know, I started out with basically nothing. And next thing you know, I'm opening up a restaurant. How does it happen? It's called Fat Fish. It was just an unbelievable restaurant. I mean, I'm slinging tacos, and I've never even really worked in a restaurant. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I had that drive, and I believed that anything was accomplishable. But again, I was still in active addiction. So anything that I was doing was always getting faulted by that mindset. I was never clear-headed. I was always making impulsive decisions. I was always doing things the wrong fucking way. Instead of just going with my gut, I was going with the impulse and the euphoric feeling of more again. So I had this restaurant. I also had a little home improvement company down there. And next thing you know, I'm getting charged with not having a home improvement license, right? So I was on the news 6 times for this. Wow. 6 times for not having a home improvement license. And why I wasn't on the news because of the home improvement license. I was on the news because of what happened before. And I was in a small town, and they wanted to expose it. They put me on the news 6 times. Then we go to court, and I get a $320 fine. Do you know how fucking blown away the reporter was when I got a $320 fine and walked out the courtroom? She was like sitting there like, so how do you feel? I said, I feel fucking great. Get the fuck out of my face with your stupid ass camera. And she was so pissed. So they kept digging. And within 24 hours, at that time, I was on parole still.
Yeah.
So within 24 hours, I was bagged and tagged, brought right back to DOC. And the cop that was after me was like, dude, this dude was like this psycho cop. His name, I won't say his name. But he was a psycho cop, man. And he found me within 24 hours. Parole retake warrants aren't given out within 24 hours. They take like a week or two.
Yeah.
But this dude went to my restaurant. He went to my daughter's karate school. He went everywhere. He was the guy who did the Maryland Home Improvement License too. And guess what? The Maryland Home Improvement License isn't supposed to be judicially processed through a Maryland state trooper. They're supposed to be processed through the Maryland Home Improvement Commission. But for some reason, the homeboy had a hard-on for me.
Yeah.
24 hours, go back to prison. I'm in prison, right? And I meet this guy. They put me on a 90-day hold, which the commissioner was like, I'm putting you on the 90-day hold because I have fear for what might happen to you. Like, for real. She's like, this guy, he's called our office every single day. He wants to know exactly what's happening with you, so on and so forth. Will the truth ever come out of why this dude has such a hard-on for me? I have no idea. But there's something there. Either way. Fast forward a little bit, I get out. They put me through the ringer of getting out and coming home. I come all the way back to the Eastern Shore. I'm doing pretty well, et cetera, et cetera. And next thing you know, I'm charged again because I was moving out of the house that we had leased. I had bought appliances, had the receipt, and I was charged for stealing my own shit. Tell me that's not fucking crazy, right? But they wanted me so bad. So the woman complained about me taking my appliances when I left her house. And they put it on the news like I was like this mastermind, whatever the fuck I was. And again, I was stigmatized. I was placed on this exile podium that says, you're not welcome here and we're going to do whatever we can to get you out of here. And again, I wasn't living like an angel. But I definitely didn't do what they said I did. And I know that the story is probably long and I don't want to take up a lot of the time because we're here for the stigma. But my story is longer than however long we got. No, I'm dead ass serious,
believe
dude.
it.
It's fucking wild, man.
It really seems like you've lived a million different lives.
And which is sad because I've only wanted to live one my entire life.
Yeah.
So either way, move back, get charged. Come in front of the judge. The first time the juror comes out of the back, she comes out, she says, he's not guilty for what, and I have the transcripts, he's not guilty for what they said he did. He's guilty because of who he was. Mistrial. Boom. State's attorney walks over to my lawyer. He's like, I'll see you back here on Monday. We're going to go for it again. Come back, pick the jury again. We have our pick. They have their pick. We ran out of our picks. One of their picks was a Worcester County sheriff. And he went and sat on the jury pool and he said, I can be an unbiased peer. I said, bro, I'm going to jail, bro. Like, I'm fucking going to jail. Next thing you know, they came back. It took them 7 minutes to find me guilty. The judge says, I'm also giving you 7 years for stealing my own shit, for having my own appliance receipt. The mother of my children, tears just dropping. Go into jail. 2 days later, state's attorney and my lawyer show up at the jail. This shit is real. What I'm telling you. Show up at the jail and they said, "Hey, listen, as long as you don't appeal this, we're gonna let you out. We're gonna give you a shorter sentence. We're gonna let you out." I was like, "What?" And my lawyer's like, "Just do what they said they do." So it's some backdoor bullshit where they wanted to prove a point. Put it on the news. We gave him 7 years. Fucking we win. He loses. And behind closed doors, it was a whole different story.
Yeah.
Don't appeal it. We'll let you out. So I get out.
I don't understand what the game is.
The fucking game is, I don't know. I don't know. I think I pissed someone off back in the day that's not happy. Fast forward, I get out, live my life. I just started living differently. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What was your wake up call to sobriety?
But see, that wasn't my wake up call just yet. Hold on, I'm not there. I'm not there yet. The bell has not rung. I get out. I open up another construction company. I'm doing odds and ends. You know, one thing a lot of people don't realize, like when you have a tainted name at some point, bro, like you can't even get a job at some landscaping companies.
Wow.
Because you're dealing with customers who are residences and the owners don't want your name to be Googled and brought up on, the screen. And then next thing you know, they lose the contract with them because of who you are. So I was let go of a fucking fertilizer job because of my fucking name, because of who I was. That was pretty disheartening. And I've had that a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And either way, I get out, I keep moving on in life, and, I'm still using, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I start this labor ready company. It's a brilliant.
You've made 10 companies.
No, more than that. so yeah, more than that. So I started a labor ready company. I had good intentions on everything I was doing, right? Yeah. Yeah, I had good intentions. So I started hiring nothing but drug court people, nothing but people in treatment, nothing but just anything like that. Anybody who was having a hard time getting a job, I was giving them better wages, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the girl who worked for me, no names, comes in and things happen. You know what I'm saying? Things happen. Things happen. We laugh about it now, but at the time it's like really fucked up because it hurt a lot of people. But you can laugh about it because it's in the past now. And even though it wasn't right, it is kind of funny. It is kind of funny.
Why wasn't it right?
Because I shouldn't have been fucking around on people, and I shouldn't have been cheating, and I shouldn't have been doing what I was doing. Mm-hmm. She comes in, parents are full of bread. Next thing you know, she goes, I want a part of this. She goes, I'm seeing what you're making. You know, we're giving people great wages. We're charging a certain amount every single hour, and that profit on top of what we're charging for each person to be there is just an exuberant amount of money. It's like crazy. I was making crazy money. I want to be a part of this. They gave me 150 G's. Fucking stupidest mistake I ever made in my life. First of all, back in the day, I didn't even know this, but the Security Exchange Commission put a blocker on me that says I was not to utilize any investment from anybody else for the rest of my life. I didn't know this. I just didn't. I didn't even know it existed. First problem. Second problem was I blew like $70,000 of it at bar tabs and fucking pills and everything else. Yeah. I was just blowing it. Third problem, I never received a paycheck. I just swiped the fucking credit card. And then the last problem was when I lost the contract because she actually went out and opened up her own labor-ready company. And when I lost the contract, I couldn't pay anybody. Fucking my whole life just fell apart, bro. I go to rehab, a 6-month program. Big shout out to Wells House in Frederick because they were just incredible human beings there. And I stayed there for 6 months. When I graduated, I kind of like I started changing a little bit, but I was still doing wrong shit. Like I was living in an apartment with a woman who thought I was her man and I wasn't. And I was dealing with another chick who I guess thought I was her man and I wasn't. And they gave me money. And well, the one gave me money and the other one, I just didn't pay rent. She was giving me money towards the rent and I wasn't paying the rent because I was falling. You know what I'm saying? Even though I was out of rehab and I was, I was in recovery, I really wasn't. I was still living dirty because I still had that mindset of take.
Yeah.
Me. Well, fast forward a little bit farther, and that's when the marshals show up. Oh. And dude, it was a horrible experience because I was starting to change my life, and I didn't get to change my life, but it also saved me from a life that could have been a lot worse than it is now. Meaning that the day I got arrested, the night before, I went out drinking. So what would have happened if he hadn't arrested me?
Right.
I wouldn't have 5 years clean right now. I wouldn't have learned a whole lot of very humbling situations. I was sentenced to 36 years.
Wow.
And they let me out on the 8507 program. So I did a program called New Horizon up in Emmitsburg. Awesome program. It's kind of a crazy program. Like, they're serious about their shit. And I learned a lot about myself there, man.
What clicked? Because for some people, it's like I needed to form a connection with a higher power, or this thing happened in my life that I was avoiding and not looking at, or it was because I wasn't acknowledging my feelings or allowing myself to feel. What do you think you like touched on that you were missing for years?
I feel like it was a plethora. It was everything. It was childhood trauma. It was abandonment, fucking huge abandonment issues. I did EMDR. You know what EMDR is? I did EMDR, and I had some breakthroughs with that, man. Like, you know, being sexually assaulted as a young boy, it stays with you forever. You'll continuously have that vision. And it stayed with me forever. Yeah. And I felt like I wanted to hurt everybody for someone hurting me. I think a lot of my addiction was because I just didn't feel good about myself. I felt like I was always living a facade. As soon as, you know, the cars were gone and everything was gone and the spotlight wasn't there anymore, it was like, what do I have now? You know, so I just go dig even deeper. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of my issues that I had with women were because when I was younger, I didn't ever get, not because my parents didn't have a good relationship, because they actually had a pretty good relationship. But I think it's because, like, I never really got into a normal relationship from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like, cheated on as a kid, had a wild experience with that. Whole nother story. But I never had a decent relationship. So I always felt like I wanted to hurt other people for what had happened to me. And that was like a victim stance. And I realized that wasn't the way I wanted to live my life. So I think there was a click of everything. It was just like, who the fuck are you? Like, who are you really as a human being? And then I found who I was by helping others. Second day out of treatment, I took some bottled waters. I went down to Baltimore City and I just started walking around the city. You know what I'm saying? And I was just trying to help people get into treatment, or that's what I thought at first. It was just get them into treatment. And then I realized it wasn't just about getting them into treatment. It was about being an empathetic human being and just being stable and consistent and reliable. And you build trust in those people. And then I changed some lives. I mean, I got a governor's citation, which I was like blown the fuck away about. But I got a governor's citation and it was for doing something good. And it was like, I didn't even know they had governor citations. I was like, they're giving you a citation. I was like, what the fuck did I do wrong now? Because you know the word citation. You're like, what the fuck is this? So I got that. I've been pretty well regarded in the community of Baltimore City. So I'm looked at as like, hey, you need resources. You need something. Just go to Joe. I never had people coming to me just because they wanted my help, not just because they needed something from me. They just want help. I think that's what it was like. It was like a slow process of change. It wasn't a clicking moment.
For sure.
There's no clicking moments with me. It's always a slow, gradual, you know, how I get to the good part. It's never like, hey, I woke up, everything's fucking great now. No, I still have issues.
I'm kind of curious on what you've seen in terms of the Baltimore addiction crisis. I feel like Baltimore sadly is more known for a lot of the crime and addiction crisis. What have you seen and what kind of stands out to you with Baltimore in terms of that?
Well, I've seen some growth with Baltimore in some certain aspects, but I've also seen, a neglect of a city that actually has some soul to it. I see the drugs, they're getting stomped on more and more now.
Yeah.
I was just at the mass overdose. I was there
Really?
when it happened. You know that actually the mass overdose wasn't about, just bad drugs.
What was it
They were
about?
aiming to kill somebody with those drugs.
Really?
They were aiming to give somebody a hot shot. So what they did was they made sure that the guy got a hot shot, and he died. And then they went and threw out testers all over the city. And that's why the overdoses actually happened. A lot of people don't know that, do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't know it.
No.
And you're heavily involved in this area. Right.
Yeah.
But when you're on the streets and you actually hear what actually happened, and then the same story is told over and over again, that's when you know it's real. That's when you know it really happened. And then you put all the pieces together. I think that they're stomping on drugs. I think it's kids running around with guns. There's not a lot of oversight of these kids. There's more like, lock them up, throw an ankle bracelet on them. Okay, well, how about you open up a youth club? How about you give them something to do? How about you pay attention to them? Instead, you just want to throw them away. You know what I'm saying? And the most dangerous people in Baltimore City are the children. They're not the adults. The kids are running wild, and they're out of control. They have a no chase policy on kids on dirt bikes. Why not? Because someone got hurt? Because it's a liability? No, you just say, stop riding your dirt bikes in here, and this is what's going to happen. Now, do I think riding the dirt bikes in the city is cool? I think it is. I think it's a part of like urban life, and I think it's cool, but it is actually dangerous because kids do get hurt. So there's a pro and a con to it. You know what I'm saying? And I always see things from both sides. But I think that the violence rate has dropped a little bit, but not dramatically, because more people are being less authoritative and more caring. There's more people coming out to volunteer. There's more people, and this isn't the city doing it. It's just volunteers. It's people just coming out and just trying to help. You know what I'm saying? People are literally coming out of the woodwork and saying, throw me in. I'll go. And that's helped. But the drugs are out of control because it's no longer heroin, which is stepped on with quinine and benina. It's fentanyl laced with methylcyclazine or whatever the hell that shit is, or xylazine, and it's eating people's fucking skin away, and people are dying left and right. And there's a soul that's been taken from Baltimore City, and the soul needs to be brought back somehow or another. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I just go out there every single day and do whatever I can do. Do I feel like I'm changing things? No. But do I feel like I'm making some kind of progress? I hope I am, because I see people in some of the most doom and gloom situations I've ever seen in my entire life.
Right.
It's really sad, man. It's really sad.
You also shared a little bit earlier about your experience in a psych ward. You mentioned it, and you also brought up that you attempted to commit suicide as well.
Yeah.
What was it like being in that headspace and your experience in psych wards? Was that beneficial whatsoever?
No. There was nothing beneficial about it. I was scared to death. I was scared to death the entire time. What got me to the headspace of wanting to kill myself? I believe that I didn't have any purpose. There was no purpose for me in life. I took the victim stance on a lot of stuff as a kid. Woe is me. Instead of taking the hand that was being reached out to me, I was shooing it away and saying, I know better. I'm this 14-year-old kid that knows everything, and these people that were trying to help me, I felt like they were like the devil. And maybe that was my mindset, because I do have bipolar with psychotic features. Like, I do hear shit. I do see stuff. Like, people will always say in the streets, they're always like, why are you always saying yes? Or why are you always saying uh-huh? Like, I just say it randomly, and believe now that I've gotten some consciousness with it that I'm actually just responding to whatever's being said in my head. And I don't ever want anybody to feel the way I felt when it came to suicide, because it's like you really don't care what happens. You don't care what happens to yourself. You don't care what happens to your family. You don't care what happens to anything. You just want whatever pain you're feeling inside your head to go away. There's no point in waking up. Like I used to pray to God, don't wake me up. And now I pray to God every single morning, thank you to him for waking me up. I'm serious, because I was just going through so much pain, dude. Like just pain that some of it was self-induced. I don't think that anybody really realizes sometimes how people's mindsets can be changed by being exiled from, a group of people, or the way they feel about their family, or the way they feel about, certain aspects of their life. And then you add like drugs and alcohol into the situation, and your whole psychosis just changes. You just really feel like giving up. You're fighting an uphill battle that you never feel like you're making any traction on. And it becomes tiring, and you just want to end it. So you either kill yourself or you try to kill yourself.
How would you have wanted someone to support you through that? Or how would you support someone now going through that?
I would just listen. But I wouldn't listen for the answers that I wanted to hear. I would listen to their answers that were genuinely how they felt. And then I put myself in that position. I really try to take myself out of whatever I have going on and whatever is going on in my life, and I separate, and I put myself directly in their position. I look at the way that their hygiene is. I look at the way that they're looking at the world. I look at whatever they're using in their active addiction, and I kind of just like put myself in that position.
Yeah.
Because I've been in it. And then I try to not exactly talk them out of it, but just be there for them. Hold their hand if they feel comfortable with it. Buy them breakfast. Get them a coffee. Get them something. Get them something to feel that someone actually cares. That, hey, man, you're here for a purpose, and that purpose right now is to just be with me in this moment. Let's just be together in this moment. And, from what I've read, the average suicidal thought can last from like an hour to like a day. So in my personal experience, I had suicidal thoughts every single day, same time of the day. I remember it was always right after I had my coffee, and I'd be sitting there, and then I would just go into that thought process. And so you have to understand it from that perspective. Like, hey, man, this person can be feeling like this and tell you all the good shit in the world. But if you don't have that gut feeling that you can walk away and be okay with them, you need to stay. Right. You need to, because this is another human being. And it may not be your responsibility. It may not be your job. It may not pay you anything. It may not give you any kind of reward. But you need to stay, and you need to make sure that that person's okay. And to be real honest with you, if the entire world thought like that, we wouldn't need any outside help, because we would be a community, and the community would take care of its own.
Right.
Have you ever looked into third world countries and things like that? The way that they like take care of their own community, even though they have nothing. They did this research on this woman, and this publisher went out there. He was like a writer or journalist or something like that, right? And he went out there and he asked her, living in a mud hut, no running water, shit and pissed in a field, had nothing, 90 years old, lived her whole life like this. He goes, if I gave you $1 million today, what would you do? Would you be happy? She goes, no, I'd give it to somebody who actually needed it.
Wow.
And if you think about that mindset, she's content because she has her community. She has the people around her. She has everybody who are truly wealthy in their soul and not wealthy on paper. And I think that the society that we live in now is so money driven, so wealth driven, so status driven. So, you got to be up here in order to be anything. You have to take the perfect selfie on the perfect fucking beach with the perfect scene, with the perfect guy, with the perfect girl, with the perfect dog, with the perfect house. What happened to just being? You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't know me from anything. I walked up, you immediately gave me a hug. Why aren't we doing that more often? Why isn't everybody doing that? Why are we picking sides? You don't have to pick sides. I don't want to pick a side. The only side I pick is right or wrong. Common sense and stupidity. That's it. I truly believe that life is a lot simpler than we make it.
100%.
But we make it so complex and we put in so many of our theories and all this shit. I mean, this lady just recently, she completely contradicted herself. She was a Harvard professor who did this podcast, and the podcast went absolutely insane. It's actually a good podcast. But she talked about how everybody can recover and it only takes 5 years, and alcohol is a toxin. Duh. Alcohol is definitely a toxin. And how nobody knows that, and how you just made common sense into something that was so mind-blowing, and everybody's in awe of what you just said. Oh my God, alcohol is toxic? Well, the middle word of intoxicated is toxic. How you don't know that, I don't know. Then she went on to say, oh, in 5 years, they don't need any more help. They're good. I haven't drank in 2.5 years is what she says. Well, if you haven't drank in 2.5 years and you're talking about a 5-year period, how do you know?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? But because she has a Harvard professor title,
yeah, for sure,
she's the shit. Again, status, who she is. Can't talk to someone on the street. I've learned more from Glenn at the diner than I have than most, clinical physicians.
What do you think the biggest misconception is with addiction?
I think that people think that people just are addicted and they can just cure themselves. I think that they believe that it's so simple. Well, if it's so simple, why is it so running rampant, and why is it such an epidemic? It's so simple. Just quit. What are you talking about? How can they just quit? This is their ritual. This is their habit. This is what they do every single day. So if you're saying you go to work every day and you drive a certain way to your work every day, and you stop at a certain gas station, you have a certain coffee or croissant or whatever every single day. You do the same exact thing every single day. Stop doing that. Don't go to work the same way. Take a completely different route. Don't drink coffee in the morning. Don't do any of those things. How long do you think you'll last doing that? Well, I don't think you'll last very long at all, because you've become rigid in your habit. Now add something that is actually physically addictive on top of that. You think someone's just going to walk away? They're not going to walk away. They're thriving off it. It's their ritual. It's their habit. That's what I have to say about it.
No, I love that.
Dude, I literally just came here because I just wanted to talk to you. No, it was like when you invited me, I was like, it's nice to have a break from the streets.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a break from rehabs. It's nice to have a break from addiction. It's nice to have a break from all that and just talk about some common sense shit that has to deal with recovery.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people go to church every Sunday because they're looking to speak to someone or to be spoken to about something that they want to understand. Well, I wanted to come here after the invite because I wanted to understand you. You think that the conversation is going to end because I leave here after this? No, I want to continue to get to know who you are as a person because I genuinely give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? People need to start genuinely giving a fuck.
Right. We've stopped caring about each other in this world. I don't know what it's about. I feel like when I really think about like my life purpose or like what's the meaning of life, like anything like physical doesn't like make sense. Like my job, I'm like, like that could kind of play a role in it. Like I don't think everybody's career can be aligned with their like life purpose or whatever it is. It could, depending on what it is. But I really feel like this is more so aligned with my life purpose because it involves connection and like loving another human being and being open and honest and vulnerable and seeing each other.
Right.
I forgot where I was going with that, but
you were going
connection.
With just being
with
connected.
Connecting with other people. And I've never felt more alive and happy when I am connecting with another person. Like talking to someone, being real, being honest, being open, not having this like front on.
Right.
And I feel like when in those moments in my life where I'm kind of like isolating and being a recluse, that's when I feel the worst because I'm avoiding people for whatever reason. And I think that's part of my disease. It wants me to keep away from connection.
Right.
So I really appreciate this. And I appreciate this podcast and this platform as well because it allows me to like feel more alive and happier in the world.
Right. And you know, everybody's trying to find their tribe.
Right.
You know, you got the hipsters, you got the emo kids, you got the preppy people, you have the urban lifestyle, you have everything. Everybody has their clique.
Yeah.
But what happens when the cliques collide? And why are they not colliding more? Why are we staying so rigid to our beliefs that we aren't open to believing in other people? That's serious, man.
Yeah.
Like that's something that I've gone from boardrooms straight to the street, back to a meeting. You have to have some kind of method to the madness of moderation. And when you learn how to connect with different people and understand different people's perspectives and personalities, you kind of have a better way of life. Because you're not thinking negatively about the next person. You're thinking like, I could connect you with you somehow or another.
Yes.
Yeah, even though you were just on a yacht and you were just hanging out with, you know, famous people and stuff like that. You really like pancakes. I really like pancakes. Maybe we could go get pancakes together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, finding those similarities.
Little tiny ones.
Yeah, we all have them. Like there's something that connects us all.
There is.
I believe.
And if it wasn't, then we wouldn't have the world.
Right. It's like there's usually like that first thing we connect on, like with the rooms and in rehabs and treatment centers. It's like that first thing that connects us is obviously we both have this disease of addiction. And then we get deeper than that.
Yeah.
But even like people who aren't, you know, identifying as addicts and alcoholics, I feel like you kind of, there's a vice in there somewhere. You kind of can understand our mindset and our thinking when it comes to being addicted to something. Right.
Like when's the last time you saw a person in a suit walk up to someone in the streets and just give them a hug?
Right.
And why don't they? Is it because they think they're gross? Is it because they think they're going to catch something?
Because they think maybe they're better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they think that giving them the $1 is actually going to, you know, change their whole day? It's just going to help them maybe cop, maybe go get something to eat. Who knows what it is? But if you have the extra $1, why aren't you giving it to them?
Right.
Like, what are you going to do with that $1? You going to go buy something? Something that you don't need? Something off of Amazon? Something plastic? Something that's going to get thrown away in 3 weeks? Or are you going to give it to somebody that maybe they went and bought a cup of coffee and it changed their entire outlook of their entire day, and that turned into a ripple effect, and maybe they got well and got off the streets? A single $1. Everybody has value. You just need to kind of see it.
Yeah.
At least that's what I think. This has been awesome.
No, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the FTS podcast.
Absolutely.
If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, please give us 5 stars. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, like, all that stuff. I really appreciate everybody listening and for you coming on.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.